Hey, welcome in. We're about to dive deep into the largest study of millionaires ever done. And what they found? Well, it reveals a path to building wealth that's surprisingly normal. It is nothing like what you see on TV or in the movies. So let's get right into it.
You've heard this a million times, right? It's a story our culture just loves to sell us, that getting wealthy is something that just happens to you. Lucky break, being born in the right family. It's the kind of thinking that makes you feel stuck. But what if that whole story is just completely wrong?
Because this one number, this single number from the study, changes absolutely everything. 79% of the millionaires they looked at got zero inheritance, nothing, not a single dime. Which brings up the real question, doesn't it? If they didn't get it from their family, where in the world did all that money come from?
To figure that out, we have to kind of peel back all the stereotypes and see who these people actually are. Because the data, it paints a picture that is a million miles away from the Hollywood version of a millionaire. And honestly, the facts might just shock you.
Okay, so just look at the top 3 professions right here. You've got engineer, accountant, and, wait for it, teacher. Yup, you heard that right. One of the most common jobs for the millionaires in this study is teaching. These aren't Wall Street hotshots or tech billionaires. They are literally the people you know, the people next door, working regular jobs. And their education? You're probably thinking, okay, but they must have all gone to some fancy, expensive Ivy League university, right? Well, nope. A whopping 62% of them graduated from public state schools. Only 8% went to one of those prestigious private colleges. It just proves that a fancy, expensive diploma is not the secret password to the Millionaire Club. And to really hammer this point home, get this. 8 out of 10 millionaires come from families that were at or even below a middle-class income level. They weren't born with a silver spoon. They built it all, brick by brick, from the ground up. So this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If it's not a big inheritance, or a fancy degree, or some crazy high-paying job, then what on earth is the secret? Well, it turns out it's not one secret at all. It's actually a handful of core ideas that almost all of them live by. And it all starts right here, with their mindset. This is the absolute foundation. Long before they saved their first dollar or made their first investment, they adopted a really powerful belief about their own role in their life story.
I mean, just look at this number. It's staggering. 97% of these millionaires agree with that statement. Now, this isn't just some positive thinking fluff. It is a deep, fundamental belief in personal responsibility. They truly see themselves as the pilot of their own life, not just a passenger along for the ride.
And this is what that belief looks like in action. They reject the blame game. While a lot of people might say, oh, I can't get ahead because of the economy or because of my boss, the everyday millionaire says, it is up to me to make it happen no matter what. That radical sense of ownership, it's the bedrock for everything else they do.
Okay, so believing you're in control is one thing, but how does that actually translate into a plan? Well, these millionaires, they put that belief into very specific, very intentional action with their money.
Their investment plan isn't about some risky, complicated scheme. Actually, it's pretty boring, which is exactly why it works so well. The huge majority of them just use their regular workplace retirement plan, like a 401k. And the path is so simple and methodical. First, they put in enough to get all that free money from their company's match. Second, they max out a Roth IRA for that amazing tax-free growth. And then finally, they just go back to that 401k until they're consistently putting away 15% of their income. That's it. Simple, steady, and incredibly effective.
But of course, you can't invest money you don't have. And that is where intentional spending comes in. Get this, 93% of them live on a written budget. They treat debt like it's the plague, and they make a habit of living on less than they make. And that little detail about spending $200 a month at restaurants? That's not about being cheap. It's a choice. It's a conscious decision to value their future freedom more than a fancy meal today.
So you've got the mindset and you've got the plan. But there is one more piece of the puzzle, and honestly, it's the hardest one. It's the long, slow, totally unglamorous grind of just being consistent, day after day, year after year. And here's where you can really see the two stories side by side. Our culture sells us this myth of flashy cars and risky bets. But the reality for these everyday millionaires is all about discipline. It's about making those boring, smart choices over and over and over again for years, especially when nobody's watching.
Look, building wealth like this is a marathon, not a sprint. This whole journey takes decades. The average person in this study didn't actually cross that million-dollar line until they were 49 years old. It's all the result of starting in their 20s, staying the course through their 30s, and then letting that magical thing called compound interest build momentum in their 40s.
And this quote from Rob, he's one of the guys from the study, a farmer's son. Man, it just perfectly captures that long-term view. He wasn't worried about living it up when he was young. No, he was focused on building a life where he could really enjoy being old without any money stress. And that right there is the ultimate payoff for all that earlier sacrifice.
So after hearing all this, what does it all mean for you? Well, it means that becoming a millionaire isn't really about some lottery ticket you hope to find. It's about the choices you decide to make every single day.
Because, ultimately, the goal isn't just a number in a bank account. It's about achieving true financial independence. It's the freedom of not owing a single person a single thing. It's the freedom that comes from having options in your life. And maybe most importantly, it's the freedom to actually design and live your life on your terms.
So here it is. This is the playbook. The whole thing boiled down to these 5 simple but incredibly powerful steps. You have to believe you can do it. You have to take personal responsibility for your future. You've got to be intentional with your money and use a budget. You consistently invest 15% for the long haul. And last, you work hard and you are patient. That's it. That is the entire path. The research is crystal clear. The path is there. It's available to anyone who is willing to walk it. It's not about luck, it's not about your background, it's about discipline and persistence. So the only real question left is the one you have to ask yourself. This whole journey, it's a promise you make to your future self. Are you going to keep it?